Baba and Preach covered this apparently as well.
Okay. All right. So this is going viral. Shannon Sharpe getting canceled due to allegations that he raped. Basically, he forced himself in her from behind. Okay.
He raped her, allegedly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Listen, he forced himself on her against her will. That's the allegation. It's important to give some context to this because this comes with a few key details. One, the lawyer who's involved in this is the same lawyer who's gone after a lot of high-profile people and basically tried to shake them down and has been proven to be a complete fraud in court.
Yep.
So that's a bad look because recently, even against Jay-Z, he tried to pull some stuff and the courts threw that shit down and basically said, you can't even practice here. You're so unethical. So you have to imagine how much of basically said, you can't even practice here.
Busby is not admitted to practice law in the federal court where the case was filed. I could be wrong on this. So generally you need to take the bar in states where you want to practice. I don't know how it works for federal. Like if you file a federal suit in a state, if you need to be barred in that state or how that works. But if you're not licensed to practice in a state, you can always have another attorney file it for you. And then you file I think it's a pro hac vice motion. And then that allows you to say, hey, listen, I'm from out of state, but can I come and practice there? I don't think you need to be barred in that state as long as you file that motion. I don't think so. I could be wrong on that. But he might have incorrectly filed the case or something. Is not admitted to practice law. It doesn't look like the same as he got disbarred or sanctioned in this district. That's not what that reads like to me, but I'm trying to Google it. I don't know.
He tried to pull some stuff and the courts threw that shit down and basically said, you can't even practice here. You're so unethical. So you have to imagine how much of a bad representation.
He didn't file the pro vice shit? Yeah, okay. Then he just tried to file in a district where he's not barred and he should have had another lawyer file it first. This is why I have like fucking 3 lawyers on my fucking bullshit. Is to have my team from California able to file or represent me in Florida.
You have to be in terms of like, you're not even allowed to practice in certain areas because of how bad your rep is.
I don't know what that means or how that's like, it's not that you're not allowed to practice because of a bad rep. It would be like you got disbarred or something because you fucked up hard. And I think generally if you get disbarred in one area, I think other people will disbar. Like, I don't know if you get like disbarred in one state and other states are like chill. I think that would probably get fucked there would be my guess, but I don't know. But
he's pretty much real life Saul Goodman.
Saul Goodman?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Like,
yeah. The girl in question, a lot of people have been going after the wrong girl and flaming her on Instagram. It's not her, but I'll show you the person in question because she does have an OnlyFans. She is very popular.
Jesus.
And, I don't believe that these accusers should be anonymous, especially when they're doing things for profit or, for their own sake.
Okay, this is something I feel very strongly about, because all of this now personally affects me too. I think that the concept of filing a case as a Jane Doe, especially in cases of sexual stuff, I think that that's a totally fine protected thing. It makes sense why you would want somebody to have that protection, especially if part of what they're alleging is like, this is humiliating or damaging my reputation or whatever. That makes sense why you would have these like protections that would allow somebody to file the case anonymously. What I think is ridiculous is when you file anonymously and then make it public. That's a massive bait, because if Shannon fucks up on his side and accidentally reveals like her name's in a filing somewhere, even I think you can get trouble even if it's in a filing because those are public facing, or if he says it or if he gives information that allows people to find out who she is, then theoretically I think the plaintiff can try to sanction you or file a motion to compel something or damage you in some way or whatever, or add to like punitive or damages or whatever, because now you've like violated the protective order. That's bullshit. If you're already starting to release shit publicly and people are obviously tying you to, I think that's ridiculous. You're abusing the court system at that point to file anonymously. Does filing anonymously mean there are 0 penalties for perjury or lying? No, you can still lie or perjure yourself. When you file as a Jane Doe, unless there's like other ways to do it that I'm not aware of, that just means that your name isn't filed publicly. The court knows who you are and the defendant knows who you are, but the public doesn't see your name. But usually when you see the, like if you go through a lot of Doe cases, it's very, even in like for revenge porn stuff, for instance, it's hard to find these people because usually they don't want to be found. Obviously, there's a reason why they're filing under a protective order. There's a reason they're filing anonymous because they don't want all of this, stuff out there about them on the internet. So it's weird when people file under Does, but then they make it as public as possible. I feel like that's a gross misuse of that privilege, but.
And if you're going to accuse someone publicly, I think your name should be out there publicly. And thankfully, in the court filings, you can find her full name, so this is not hidden. I'm going to play
the court filings are her full name? That's very strange if that's true, considering she filed as a Doe, but...
Call, and then I'll play videos of her so you can see who the person is. So here's the call or the edited clip that they released to incriminate Shannon?
Anything I say, you're just gonna like get mad at, and you're just gonna hang up on me. So I feel like
I'm not gonna hang up on you. Here's what it is.
what? What does that even mean?
Nothing yet. You want to be a dick to me now, so.
I don't want to be. Don't manipulate me.
Manipulation.
I don't know that mercy. If you say that one more time, I'm gonna choke the out of you when I see you.
Imagine just Shannon Barnes shit. Nigga, I told you I was gonna choke the shit out of you. You said it one more time.
But it's good. You learn. You don't touch my fucking.
No. I might get up in your space.
Yeah.
You didn't shove me into a fucking closet.
Yeah, of course I can.
Yeah. Bitch. No, that came out way too comfortable. After the years of a that I done oh my God, bro. Yeah, that's too much.
That's too much.
That's too much. You said it too fast. You said, of course I did.
This motherfucker clutching his pearl.
Oh my days. Who is we?
I don't know who is we, but
I don't know. Because we used to be them niggas with the afro and the dreads.
Now he ain't got no more beard.
You know what people call us? They call us Abba and Abba. That's funny. Not gonna lie.
That's stupid.
All right. Okay. I feel like with every progressive year, we're just less and less hair. It used to be hair here. Now it's here.
Your hair used to be all over the place.
Hey, you know what I'm saying? Some of us want to be employed. So,
By who, nigga? You're the CEO.
By me.
You're the CEO and the HR.
Yeah,
What are you talking about?
I have to talk to HR to be like, I'm gonna fire myself, nigga.
You're the motherfucker.
This is unpresentable.
I'm gonna fire myself and I want to ask for a bonus.
Yo, stupid.
What are you talking about?
Moving past that.
Thank you.
Well, I don't want to be choked.
Okay, you guys notice there's a cut there. There's a few cuts in this thing already, but just keep listening.
Even if there weren't cuts, just remember, when it's a one-sided recording, bro, oh, fuck. People that just haven't been in relationships or haven't had tumultuous friendships just don't know. Bro, you can wind people up and make them sound insane. If you know you're recording and they don't know, and you've got the ability to put the recorder up, whoo, you can make people sound hella crazy. And I don't mean sound crazy as in you're like super editing and splicing clips together. I mean sound crazy as in like you're a worthless small dick little fucking piece of shit. It's like, what the fuck's your problem? It's like, you know what the fuck my problem is. I'm gonna fuck your mom, and then I'm gonna fuck your dad, and I'm gonna fuck them both at the same time, and then we're gonna fuck you together because you're a piece of shit. Oh, fuck you, blah, 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 blah. And then it's like, okay, record on. Why are you upset with me all the time? You know why I'm upset with you. You're fucking crazy, bitch. What the fuck is wrong with you? I don't understand why you're calling me crazy all the time. I'm calling you crazy because you're a fucking lunatic. You're a fucking crazy bitch. And like, so people only hear that part. And it's like, okay, well, obviously the guy is insane. He's totally unhinged. She's like, well, hold on. I don't know what came first. I don't know what came before in this phone call. Why this dude is so fucking mad. He could be evil and it could be genuinely fucked up. But also, this person knows that they're recording. They know they're going to release it publicly because why the fuck else, would you be recording a conversation on the phone like this otherwise, unless you were going to fucking release it somewhere, right? So I think that that's just be aware of that. Just be aware of that.
Well, I don't want to be choked.
Yes, you do. I don't think you have a choice in the matter.
Yeah,
Weird.
The lawsuit, the way this clip is put together, like this could easily be just the way that people talk between each other.
I don't know about that. That would be a wild way to just randomly talk to a partner. But I do think it's not enough to fucking convict the dude off. Like you need way more info, right? But
They're within the confines of the kinks. They like to be a little. Yes, you like to be choked.
like this doesn't sound like a kinky convo. He just sounds like kind of annoyed, or maybe not. It's hard to say. You need way more info on this.
No, Daddy, you can see that happening. I'm not going to read into this conversation, but I will read into the fact that you released this highly edited clip to put out this. If this is really what it is, this kind of intimidation, then release the whole thing. Give me a good chunk of conversation. Why is it edited? One, for things are cut out. And two, why is it such a short segment? Just as he's about to go on, you cut it right there. It might change the context. So this is one of the ones where the lawyer doesn't have a good reputation. Oh my God. The manipulation, reputation, majigajig. Now, the lawyer doesn't have a good reputation. The woman in question is doing this for strictly financial gain, has been recording calls and setting a lot of this up for a long time. And just looking at the timing of it also, it all feels like this is all orchestrated for a bad cause. Now, I'm not saying Shannon is innocent or guilty. I ain't in that man's private life. He might be doing some weird shit. I'm just saying the way this looks on the outset, it looks really bad on behalf of the accuser, in my opinion. Another thing to consider is the fact that Shannon was now just renegotiating his deal for his podcast, which is going to be worth of like upwards of 100 mil. So there's a lot of, I feel like the timing of it is very strategic, right? They knew this is going to be coming, so they waited for this because apparently this happened almost a year, 2 years ago, and they'd be sitting on this. And you can kind of know that it's a bit premeditated because the woman has recordings of just really random So this is something that she's put some forethought in regards to setting up for some of this.
So we just pulled up to the grocery store and I'm about to fuck shit up. Just kidding, guys. I would never do that. I'm gonna be completely normal. No, I'm not. Okay, enough with this bullshit. Let's fucking go. I forgot my keys. And yes, that's right. I only shop at Whole Foods. I don't want to look like I'm broke. What they say, fake it till you make it. I don't want to cook tonight, guys, so we're getting the hot bar. Who am I kidding? I literally never cook. Leave the only selections. So your girl will be ordering Postmates. I just got completely harassed in the grocery store. So I've made it home safe. Basically, I had to leave the grocery store early. This guy was following me around the grocery store. He wouldn't leave me alone. We managed to get this $13 peanut butter and these chocolate balls. This is why women are scared to go out. Don't be that guy. Do not harass women. Simple.
Now, I'm going to do this in order.
Jesus.
Okay, so we're going to start off with Shannon's video because he knew that they were going to release this clip. If you don't know who Shannon Sharpe is, he's a podcaster, Hall of Famer, football player, former football player, but Hall of Famer, very, very well received, and he's a big social media personality.
Football player, baseball player, soccer player, don't care. Lakers in 5.
OKC, KFC, UFC. Lakers in 5.
To my family, friends, supporters, and colleagues, I want to speak to you directly and from the heart. This is a shakedown. I'm going to be open, transparent, and defend myself because this isn't right. This is all being orchestrated by Tony Busby, who has targeted Jay-Z. Tony Busby targets black men, and I believe he's going to release a 30-second clip of a sex tape that tries to make me look guilty and play into every stereotype you could possibly imagine. That video should actually be 10 minutes or so. Hey, Tony, instead of
The sexism card is strong. I don't think the racism card can counter the sexism card.
releasing your edit, put the whole video out. I don't have it, or I wouldn't myself. You know what happened, and you're trying to manipulate the media. The encounter in question took place during the day at her invitation.
Manipulation.
Oh, manipulation.
Manipulation.
And now that appears to be a deliberate setup, coordinated by Gabby, also known as Carly on OnlyFans. Gabby and Tony Busby want $50 million. What they're getting is sued for defamation and trying to take me down. My career is all about real talk and honesty. I know my family and fans know exactly what this is about. And I'm going to be out there telling you whatever I need to say, just like I always do. I love all you guys.
Damn.
All right. What's your thoughts?
My thoughts are these. Nuts. If you want to be credible at getting 50 million out of someone, why, out of all the Tonys that are out there, you're gonna choose Tony Busby? And you're pretty popular. You got money. You got money. You got the money to have someone that actually is gonna have a little bit more reputation.
I don't get this.
Someone that's gonna be able to do the job. Someone that's that we're not gonna look at funny. Even if you're gonna tell me, even if you tell me that, well,
wait,
maybe
who is he criticizing? Wait, I'm so confused. Hold on.
you're gonna choose Tony Busby, and you're pretty popular. Some want to be credible.
The lawyer.
At getting 50.
Oh, I mean, if he specializes in these types of cases, then this is the lawyer you're going to want. Whether or not you seem credible or whatever, it doesn't matter. It matters how good you are trying the case. It matters how good you are putting it together, I guess, and like what your track record is. I don't know what kind of settlements this guy has taken down from other people before, though, so who knows?
50 million out of someone. Yeah. Why, out of all the Tonys that are out there, you're going to choose Tony Busby? And you're pretty popular. You got money. You got money. You got the money to have someone that actually is gonna have a little bit more reputation. You know, someone that's gonna be able to do the job. Someone that's that we're not gonna look at funny. Even if you're gonna tell me, even if you tell me that, well, maybe she employed his services before we heard about the Jay-Z thing. Even after, you could drop it with one person and proceed with someone else, but it was too time consuming, and you wanted to be on time with.
The point is, Busby is a total hack, but I don't know if we know that, right? Like, from what they're saying here, apparently this guy's lost some cases publicly, but it might be that privately, maybe he has gotten people to pay out pretty significantly, and he does have that reputation that he can talk about with potential clients. Maybe, I don't know. I have no idea.
The renegotiation. So before this lawsuit came about, of course, you wanna do a settlement, right? It's the set. You have to be in time for the settlement before he gets. So you could like hush it up and be like, yeah, you know what, I'm gonna pay you, and then we can move on. It looks weird. On the other hand, even though it is completely legal, a 54-year-old getting involved with a 19-year-old, I'm not with it.
She's apparently, in the picture I saw, she would have been, in 2023, she would have been 20.
And still, it's weird to me, but not illegal. But I'm like, ooh, 1921, man. You know what I mean?
You know what? It's okay. Like, there's two conversations, right? Like, here you have this OnlyFans girl, very much like about her money, whatever it is, and she's not even half your age. She's closer to 1/3 your age than she is to half. Mm-hmm. I just think a lot of rich people, especially athletes and entertainers, move in a really stupid way. And you wonder why so many of these rich guys prefer just getting escorts. It's because of stuff like this.
Yeah.
Like, if you can't control your dick, then just pay for the shit. Stop trying to do these weird fucking relationships with girls like 1/3 your age.
You don't think? I wonder if escorts ever sue people on shit like this,
who have no vested interest in your well-being. Why? Because you're just there to fuck them and disappear. So of course they're gonna try, a lot of them gonna try to get their get back. Stay away from that shit. You have too much to lose. You're too easy of a target, and a lot of you got fucking weird proclivities where you say freaky shit to people. It's like you guys are just asking to be set up. So I don't know. I feel like I've seen this story so many times to just look at them and not think, you didn't even try to protect yourself a little bit. Not even a little bit. Not even keep like records of stuff. Like, I don't know. It's a bit tough for me seeing grown men who are old enough to have great grandkids still sitting here fucking with girls who didn't even finish college. It's just odd. Is it illegal? No, obviously not. Listen, this lady, I don't think it's credible. I think this is probably going to severely
impact
Shannon.
Is it illegal?
Unfortunately, there's just no way around it because it's a very public thing. But yeah, guys, you especially if your net worth looks anything like his and you're this much of a public figure. Apparently, he met this girl at the gym and he was going after her and then pushed for it. And then
the real red flag where he really fucked up is. Now, this is just what she alleges in the complaint, though, so maybe there's something else. Is her refusing to sign the NDA. That should have been the red flag that he needed to stay away. All the age shit and everything actually doesn't fucking matter because women that are crazy when they're 25, 90% of them are still crazy when they're 30, and 90% of those are still crazy when they're 35, and 85% of those are still crazy when they're 40. So, but the refusal to sign the NDA should have been the big red flag, I think.
That's how it ended up happening. And in my head, I'm just thinking, I don't get it. I don't get why these guys put themselves out there like this. I don't get why they take these risks. I'm not saying you gotta date somebody who's rich as well or in the entertainment business, but good Lord. You out here going after 21-year-old OnlyFans models? Like, I don't know.
Go ahead.
All right, so there's a clip I want to play of Monique and Shannon talking.
I don't know if you said this, so I don't want to quote it because I could be wrong. Okay. But someone said Shannon Sharpe don't mess with black women.
Mm-hmm.
And
damn.
Before you go any further, can I say this?
Please.
My grandmother told me something when I was a little boy. She said, boy, never chase a lie.
Come on, baby. Come on.
What?
I think you definitely chasing a lie right now. You try to defend yourself, which is fair. But
well, you're not chasing a lie. You're dodging one.
He chasing that lie. He tried to go after her. He's suing her for defamation.
Never
defamation.
Never chase a lie. You talk about black.
I think it's meant to say, like, basically someone lies on you, don't go out there trying to prove them wrong. Like, don't spend that time.
Oh, that's what he meant. So, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Why? And you never said that, right?
Wait, what?
I've never said.
Okay, so that's why I said.
I got black kids.
I said that baby's black.
Yes.
They not confusing. Yes. We ain't trying to see if she Latin or Dominican. They black. They mama got black. Everybody that Shannon messed with was black.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Black. Okay?
Make sure you fade in the white OnlyFans girl while this whole conversation's happening. And you can leave me saying that too. Thank you.
Because it's Mo, it's different now. Than when you and I.
It's different, baby. I'm grateful I'm not 56 and trying.
Are you trying to say that? What you trying to say, Mo?
I'm looking right at you.
I know
I'm
you looking at me.
I ain't backing down. You better take your old ass and get somebody to love you.
Damn, Mo.
You tell you what my baby need. He need him an old fat gal who can bake good cakes, make some smothered turkey wings, who gonna rub his feet at the...
Wait, what is this? Hold on.
Yeah, I think abuse is abuse.
Streamer goes viral for his opinion on men and women fighting. Watch till the end.
Well, it is.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I think abuse is abuse.
Oh, okay.
Well, it is.
Okay, let me pose a question to you.
Talking to Mike.
Let me pose a serious question to you. And
The answer's
we're
probably
all
no.
against abuse of nobody should be hitting nobody. Let's put it that way. Don't hit me, or I might hit you back. Just let's not put our hands on each other.
Right.
Let's have a talk.
That makes sense.
Okay. While we talking, I tell you to shut up.
Okay.
Do you think it's wise for you to keep talking?
Oh no. Jesus. Not good. That's probably not it. It's probably not it. That ain't it. I think that ain't it.
At nighttime, okay, and gonna have a sip of his cognac to make him feel better about himself when he come home at night. That's what Shannon needs. You don't need no 26-year-old girl. You don't need no 36-year-old girl.
No, we need a 21. OnlyFans model, that's what we need.
When they want you to go for the 4th round, you looking at her like, bitch, listen, I need you want some money to go to Starbucks?
Yeah,
because I can't go no further. But if you get your older girl, when you get to that 4th round, she's gonna say, hold on. Hold on. Let me go get you some eggs and cheese. and some toast with apple.
Why is he giggling?
All I'm trying to say is, like, listen, you're free to do it. Like I said, it's not
illegal.
It's not.
But
it is really stupid. It just is. There's just no way around it. So that's my thoughts on this whole story. I think this sounds like a big,
Oh, there's nothing new in here. What the fuck? Did we learn anything? This is 2 days old.
Bunch of hogwash. But yeah.
We'll see. But it's crazy because the last time Tony Busby did something like that, there was no repercussions on the other side. And that's crazy to me. For you to mess up people's money like that, and the old time, the Jay-Z thing that I'm talking about, the alleged accuser was say, there's some holes in my story, and it's not Korean or whatever. They and nothing. We're just gonna let it go. We're gonna let it fly. You don't get nothing, not a slap on the wrist, nothing. Just walk out. You're good.
Well, I mean, they can try to countersue if you don't.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to pay more money to count. It's crazy.
That's America. Yeah. America.
Well, you're coming to LA tomorrow?
Oh, there's another one-sided recording. Damn, I bet all the recordings that she dropped are probably recorded on her side like this. Jesus.
Yes.
Oh my god, this is so dirty, dude.
Well, I don't know why you want to go out.
Don't worry about it, Gabby.
Well, okay.
Okay, what?
Well, I'm not really interested in getting choked, so I guess we're going.
Bro. Oh, this is so dirty. It's so dirty. Holy shit.
I might choke you in public. Big black guy chokes small white woman.
Wait, sorry, explain. I'm a virgin and an autist. It's like me talking to Miles or Maya when we're doing like anything else. Like if let's say that I know that like publicly it would be really bad if well just with like a choking thing, right? Like, let's say I have a partner that, you know, abuses me or chokes me or some shit, but that's like a kink or a fetish we have or whatever. And I'm like recording. I'm like, okay, start recording. I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to feel tomorrow at the steakhouse because I feel like you might hit me. And you're like, yeah, I'm going to smack the shit out of you. I might even do it in public. You're like, yes. Like, you're setting them up, right? Because remember, she's asking the questions. She's driving the conversation. She's recording from her end, right? So she's setting this up, right? This literally what this is a setup. That's just wild. Damn.
Big black guy chokes small white woman.
It's not a good look, Shannon.
Not a good look that you do with the shit you did to me.
Okay, well...
Okay.
Hollywood, what you gonna do with this? Hollywood.
Jesus. Well, good luck.
Took care of the situation.
There are some.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Norwegian statistics are showing that the U.S. actually has a trade surplus with Norway. Are you going to be looking into that and see which of the countries are actually in a trade surplus?
Yeah, well, with the United States, almost everybody has a surplus.
But not in
It's really an amazing,
numbers.
it's an amazing phenomenon. No, there's a surplus of a couple of $1 billion, I think you have with us. I congratulate you. That's very good. We got to get a little bit of that for ourselves, maybe, but they do have a surplus. Norway has a surplus.
In the current tariffs,
We took care of.
Wait, he's saying that they have a surplus with us. What do you mean? This is consistent with what he said before, no? He's actually retarded. He doesn't know what any of it means. Well, I know he's retarded, but he's technically being correct here, right? If we have a deficit with them, they have a surplus with us. That's what he's saying, right?
Sharpe, I'm going to stand with you, my brother.
Oh, no.
Shannon Sharpe, I'm going to stand with you, my brother, on one condition. I'm getting text messages from all over the African universe telling me that Shannon Sharpe was accused of the unspeakable.
Lang with a snow bunny.
I'm getting text messages telling me that Shannon Sharpe was accused of the unspeakable. I'm going to stand with Uncle Shay Shay on one condition. Uncle Shay Shay, no more snow bunnies after this scandal. If you cannot promise me that you will never seek the company of another snow bunny, I cannot stand with you. Uncle Shay Shay. Uncle Shay Shay. I'm standing with you, Unc. I think it's a scam. I'm standing with you, Unc. I think it's a scam. I'm standing with Uncle Shannon Sharpe on this one. I'm standing with Uncle Shannon Sharpe on this one. But Uncle Shay Shay, no more bunnies after this. Can somebody confirm if he's being accused by snow bunnies or Afro queens? Is Uncle Shannon being accused of snow bunnies or Afro queens? Who can confirm? Does anybody know the race of Uncle Shay Shay's
We
accusers?
know.
Are they black or are they white? Are they black? Is this a rice bunny situation? Is this a
Jesus
snow bunny
Christ.
situation?
Rice bunnies?
Is this a sand bunny situation? Is this a salsa bunny situation?
Jesus. Dude, the Nation of Islam dudes, those black guys, with the crazy like black racist groups, these guys are like professional racists. They've got slurs that you've never even dreamed of before, okay? I'm envious. Okay, there are white men that will never possess the level of deep racial hatred and variety of racial hatred that some of these like weird Yakubian or anti-Yakubian sects have. Jesus. And for that, we say God bless him. Okay, well. Any other exciting stuff going on today? I don't think we're ever watching the rest of this. It is pretty crazy, though. Wait, where's our boy Louis Rossmann?
Yeah. The next individual we met with is Louis Rossmann, the outspoken right to repair activist, YouTuber, and founder of Rossmann Repair Group. Rossmann Repair is an independent electronics repair shop that moved from New York to Austin, Texas. It also sells hot air stations for soldering and for repair technicians. Louis imports these stations to be sold through his online store, and has also dealt with tariffs uncertainty. As one separate heads up for this discussion, Louis uses very colorful language when he talks, just in general. And we're not going to censor it. We're not going to mute it.
Yeah, because he's
just be aware of that. Have the tariffs impacted your fish food?
Not yet. Although I think they may have to start eating the flies from the top of the pond. They are going to have to. I'm going to notice them eating the flies much quicker because they're going to be much hungrier. Let's see if I can get the fish.
Have they affected anything in your non-work life that you know of?
No, I haven't really gone buying stuff yet.
Yeah.
It's going to, all that stuff is going to happen in 3 to 6 months from now.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I had stock of these already, so it's not like it already happened. And this is an order that I already had placed, so it's not going to affect this one. But the next one is where it goes. Okay, so where to even begin?
Finally. Okay, goodbye, computer nerds. All right, all you deserve it. You guys are going down, okay?
Beginning with tariffs. So I think the first thing to go over is that this started when I moved to Texas from New York. A lot of people would say, you went there to save on taxes. A greedy business owner goes there to save on taxes. And that's not how any of this works. Companies are okay with taxes. And sometimes they're even okay with high taxes. This goes against the narrative that this is like why people move. But it's not about that. It's about the stability. I can deal with a bad regulatory environment if it's stable. If New York is going to charge this much in taxes, or it's going to be this much extra because my employees have to pay high rent, I can put that into my prices and I'm good. Right. What I can't deal with is an unstable regulatory environment, an unstable tax environment. Even a bad one is better than an unstable one that's occasionally good. I'm okay with paying these taxes or increase taxes, but it's when you say, we're not really sure how to interpret this law, so give us 1.2 million, that's when I'm out. And with this, if I see a tariff of 20 or 40% one week, 50 to 60 a day later, then I see it 120%, then I see, well, electronics are maybe exempt and in Bloomberg, and then I see on Truth Social, no, that's not actually happening. I have no idea what that means, so I can't make decisions because it's not about it being a high tariff. It's about not having a clue what's going on.
Let's give some background. What are these?
These are hot air stations. I use a hot air station when I'm performing repairs that allows me to desolder chips off of the motherboard. And if you want to buy one in America, I believe the only company you can get it from, correct me if I'm wrong, is Pace. It's somewhere between $1,600 to $1,800. And when I last visited one of the vendors, it says nozzles not included. So like this, I can sell and be in business for. I can sell this for $200. I'm the cheapest in the continental United States selling it. We have the best warranty. It's 2 years, and even if it goes wrong outside of that, we'll replace it for you. And it allows people to get into this job where they wouldn't afford to.
Have you seen a difference yet in what you're paying at the port when they come in?
Well, somebody else receives it and then ships it to me. So I would not be responsible for the tariff because I'm technically not the recipient. Right. But the person who does receive it can't tell me what it would cost the next time I place an order. So I could place an order and then he would say, well, we cannot ship you this order unless you pay us again. So for instance, for one of these orders that I was receiving, they were not sure how the rule worked. Does it work based on the date of the invoice? Does it work based on the wire transfer, the date of the wire transfer? Does it work based on...
Don't worry, the guys at the ports don't know either.
When the ship left China, does it work based on when the ship arrives here? And there are so many things that can change in that time period. So like if I have this here, I can figure out, will somebody pay $400 for this, right? But I am not going to risk, I'm not going to make a $20 or $30 or $40,000 investment on a bunch of stuff that I can't actually sell. I need to figure that out, and I can't figure that out when the rules are changing all the time.
What to I guess bring it to basics, who do you think ultimately pays the tariffs? Because this is a misconception I've seen a lot too.
The customer. So if I were to steelman Trump's argument when he says that China would pay the tariff, to give the devil their due, his idea is that when it costs me an additional $100 to import something, what I'm going to do
is I'm going to look for something different, so I'm going to spend a little bit less. It is true that I think tariffs on average are the cost is actually shared between the manufacturer and the customer. I think it averages out to 50-50 about I don't know if Metalloid is here. He disagreed with that, but I think it averages out to 50-50 because they will try to like eat into either their profits or make it cheaper or do something. So it is kind of shared, but it's still going to be significantly more expensive.
Devil they're due. His idea is that when it costs me an additional $100 to import something, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the Chinese vendor and say, you need to lower your price $100 because I'm paying more. That doesn't work. I can't walk up to somebody and say, like, I can't buy something from you and say, I live in New York and I pay 10% more tax than you, so you have to give me a 10% discount.
Right.
You're going to tell me to go fuck myself, and rightfully so. That's a me problem. That's not a you problem. So with Trump, I imagine, I don't think he's as stupid the way people are saying where he doesn't know how a tariff works. I think he's doing this roundabout thing where what he's saying is you're a crappy salesperson and business person for not being able to get them to lower their prices. And I understand that argument. I don't agree with that argument because the person in China is going to say this has higher performance than the pay station that costs $1,600 to $1,800. It has bent nozzles, which that doesn't come with. It has better performance. It heats up faster. Your alternative is $1,600. So if you want us to lower our price because your president has done this, like, argue my balls. They're not going. They know. They're never going to lower their price. So the way this works is when I import it and it costs me more money, I'm going to charge you more money because I don't want to lose money.
Right.
They know that. When Trump started talking about this, he has been very consistent. He's been talking about at least the craziness of the politics. He's been consistent since the late 80s. In the late 80s, he was talking about how Japan and VCRs and everything else. But back then, a VCR from Japan versus a VCR in America, we're talking about a price difference of like 10 or 30%. There was some. If you
could close the gap.
You could close the gap with a tariff. Now you could argue whether that's the right thing to do or not. I personally wouldn't do it, but there's an argument to be made both ways. Here, when this I can sell for $200. And the other unit is $1,600 to $1,800. Even a 100% tariff, it's not going to change anybody's behavior.
Right.
Now, let's say it did change behavior. It takes anywhere from 2 to 3 years to even start tooling a lot of the factories in the United States to get this done. And 2 to 3 years from now, the tariff may not be there. So you're going to do all this onshoring, and you're going to build all this infrastructure to try and do things here for a policy that may actually not even be here several years from now. So I don't think this is the right way to get things onshored. I think it's a national sales tax.
I mean, to you, if I understand you right, it sounds like it's the instability that's the larger of the concerns. Is that accurate?
It's instability. Because even if I knew it was 100%, it was going to stay there, I could test. I could make this product $300 or $400 or $500 or something else, and I could see if people will still buy it. I could figure that out. But I don't even know how to work that if I don't know what the rule is going to be, because now I'm changing the goalposts. There was this one story I went over a few months ago where there was this thermostat, and if you wanted to be able to control it the way you used to, they did a test on their users. And the test they did was they put everything behind a paywall, but it was a fake paywall, because when you click the submit, it's like, gotcha, you don't actually have to pay. They just wanted to see if you'd be willing to pay. They were fucking. It was an experiment.
Insane.
And I'm not saying that you should do that. You should.
Right.
But I am being put in a situation where I would have to do that. The difference is, at least with them, they had the prices that they were going to be charging people. So the items for the test were already laid out. I don't even know what they are. I'm like, where do I test at? 250, 300, 350, 400, and also when I'm buying this, in order to get these at a fair price, I am buying 200 to 400 at a time. So it's not even, like, if I was buying 10 or 20 at a time, whatever, small loss, I can't gamble with $30,000 to $60,000.
Right.
I mean, I can make 1 or 2 gambles like that. Maybe 1 that goes bad.
And
if I
then
make 2 or 3
bankrupt.
gambles like that go bad, everybody here's out of business. I'm not paying people anymore, so I can't afford the risk. So for me, it's not even about increasing costs on my customers. I don't know if they're willing to pay. And for me, it's not worth the risk. So I have to say, I'm going to lose this part of my business and profit. Screw this, it's not worth it, which means that you don't get to buy this. So have fun buying the pace.
Right. Can you find a positive in how the tariff situation is being handled?
If I were to absolutely steelman this, I would say that there's probably, and I'm reaching hard here. It's
sure.
A positive intention, even if he really needs to read basic economics or any economics book at all, a positive intention or the desire to scare somebody in another country so that they do something differently than they're doing now. But even then, I don't care if another country taxes its citizens. That's not my business. You guys do you, we do us. I don't want to be taxed at a higher rate because another country is deciding to tax their citizens. If they decide to do that, then that's on them.
Right.
I think the entire, and again, it's not about whether it is a good framework, a good taxation, or it's about whether it's consistent. The lack of consistency, the way it's rolled out with no consistency, with it going up and down, and here, this is exempt, but actually on Truth Social, it's not exempt. I can't find a single positive in it.
Is each of these one product, I guess?
Each of these has 4 in the box.
4, okay.
So right now I have I had about 50 that I had in stock before, and now I have another 236 over here, if I counted right. On this case, holding on to these is a good thing, because when I tell people that you should just look at the news, and if you want to buy this, make your decisions accordingly, because I'm not going to be selling this anymore. I will sell a lot more. So, but once these run out, I'm not getting more. So I have an invoice to buy another 350 of these, and they asked why I haven't paid yet, and it's like, is it going to cost double when they arrive? Or I have to be able to get them to tell me, since they're the receiver, if I wire you this money up front, can you guarantee me that that is what you will sell it to me for, even if the tariff plans change? And
can they?
I don't. Well, I'm not going to trust you with that. Again, this is I'm not going to do that with $30,000 or $50,000 or $70,000, because if I make one mistake there, I'm screwed. With most small business owners can't afford that. You lose 30 or 60K once, you're done. So that's not something that I'm going to risk. So I'm not buying more of these. Now, if the tariff plans change, and this is where the issues really roll out 3 to 9 months from now. This is the thing that people have to see. It's not just now. Is let's say that this is all resolved in 2 weeks. Well, for 3 or 4 weeks, I did not place an order that was going to place, which means when I run out of these, now I'm not going to have anything to sell for 2 or 3 months. So what does that mean? Everybody who does have stock ups their prices because of supply and demand, or you don't have that product. So even if you don't see prices go up now, the 2 to 4 to 6 weeks where everybody is saying, I'm not doing business until I figure out what's going on, means that things are not being ordered, things are shutting down. And during COVID, like a lot of things that were going on with the economy was this factory is closed, this oil refinery is closed, and so on and so forth. And you didn't really see the effects of it until 3 or 6 or 9 months down the line when it's like everything is more expensive, or I can't buy this, or I can't get it shipped for a car. And I think you're going to see the same thing happen here, because nobody, when they see 20%, 120, maybe.
At least, thank God, that Trump is doing all of this at the beginning of his admin. At least he was fast on it and didn't like fuck over the next the next administration, maybe.
Exempt. Never mind.
Looking for the rights over here, guys.
Right now. But you're going to see the effect of that 3 to 6 or 9 months from now when the stock runs out.
So that's really interesting, I think, because I'll pitch you some of the comments I've seen online, and we can talk about it.
So you want to raise my blood pressure? I'll
That's
set my watch
all
to measure. My watch to get a tracker.
Yeah, let's get it running.
That's good.
Yeah. No, so one of them, I would say one of the common ones is companies are going to use this as a smokescreen to permanently raise prices. True, not true?
It's very possible, but I think there's also a natural human inclination to do this. So if I haven't eaten in 2 or 3 days, and then I finally eat, when I do finally eat, I'm probably going to eat like a pig. But more importantly, your body's going to hold on to that. It may not be healthy for you. You're going to wind up with a bit more of a gut. It's not going to go to the muscles and where it should. But you're going to want to hold on to that. So if I've had this traumatic experience of I had to raise my prices 100% because some dude decided to have a war on Truth Social or something, then now I'm going to be worried, is that going to happen again? I'm going to have that anxiety in the back of my head. So now, again, 90% of it is going to be greed, just to be clear. But there's going to be that little 10% that says, I'm going to hold on to it because I had that shock. Because I had that shock, I'm not comfortable unless I have more profit. So when I was getting this shipment, for 2 or 4 days, I was shitting bricks wondering, am I going to have to spend $25 or $30 or $40,000 extra to receive the shit that I already paid for? That's a heart attack. And when I have that heart attack, my brain is going to realize the amount of money that I was making before is not enough anymore. Because when I told you that that $30 or $50 or $60,000 mistake could end me as a business, what that tells me is I need to be making more profit. And then once I actually start making more profit, why am I going to go back to where I was before? Because that reminded me, this event reminded me that my business is 1 or 2 $30,000 to $60,000 mistakes away from not existing and me going to work at an Apple store, which is probably not going to happen. But so once I have that stress or that trauma of it, I'm probably not going to go back. And then obviously the rest of it is the greed, which is like, yeah, of course, like if I could make more money off somebody, why wouldn't Corsair charge more money for a product that has poor cooling performance?
Or whatever. Yeah. One of the other comments I've seen is, well, all this would be solved if you would just make it in the U.S. Just bring it back to the U.S.
Well, they are. You can buy a pace for $1,600, $1,800. Would you like to buy one? Oh, you don't. You're the one who bitches every time I raise the price by $20. Oh, fuck you.
True.
Every single one of the individual. You can buy it, but you choose not to.
That was the most New York fuck you I've ever seen.
You choose not to. The same motherfucker that says that when they walk into a repair shop that's $65 and the guy down the street working in a fucking Western Union or a juice place says it's $55 is gonna bitch that you charge $10 more. Every single person that says that shit, I guarantee you're gonna see all the wars in the comments. Of course I pay extra. No, you fucking wouldn't. I know because I've spoken to people like this for 15 years. If somebody has to pay $1,600 to $1,800 for a tool that is less effective, not a bad tool, I'd use it, but less effective than a tool that's $200, that is going to be reflected in their prices. And it's not just one tool. We're talking about the ability for anybody to even get started here. I mean, one of the main primary people that was a protege of mine, he started doing this when he was 16 years old. Now, if you take every single tool in that chain and you multiply the cost by 6 to 15 times, do you think a 16-year-old kid that's making minimum wage working at Kava or something is going to be able to actually get started doing this? No way. If you take the startup cost of building a business like this, if you take that initial investment from $2,000 and you make it $20,000 for all these different little tools and things you need, you have now made it so that only a small number of people will be able to do that particular job. And once you have a small number of people that do the job, now they can raise the price because there's less competition. You're making it more and more difficult for people to break into this, which ironically is one of the reasons that you see China making all this stuff to begin with. I mean, there are kids in China that are taking iPhone 7s in the street and putting headphone jacks in them, like what you see with strange parts. You don't see that being done here. And if you want to take the cost of tools like this and you want to raise them by 8 or 20x, you're gonna see even less of that here than you get right now.
What do you think is next, or where do you think this goes right now?
I think more and more people like me are going to say, I do not want to have a heart attack wondering if I have to pay $20,000 to $50,000 more because of a post on Truth Social. I think people like me that read, like, I don't know, Bloomberg one day, a news thing saying, tariffs postponed, here's the source, and then, Trump saying, no, never mind, it's back. I'm not buying this again. Do I want to wire $30,000 or $60,000 to somebody to buy this?
What would you need to feel like you can buy it again?
I would like to see, well, firstly, you're not supposed to be able to place a tariff or a tax without the approval of Congress. The only way that this is being done is because they're claiming that there is some emergency or wartime condition.
Oh my God. And look at him understanding some of the law, an actual truish libertarian, because I think he considers himself that, but good job, True.
tax without the approval of Congress. The only way that this is being done is because they're claiming that there is some emergency or wartime condition. I would want to see that slapped down by the judiciary so that you're not allowed to do that. If you do want to do a tariff, it's got to go through Congress, it's got to go through Senate, it's got to go through the normal process. We can't be doing this shit like an emerging market. I want to see that if something like this is going to happen, it's going to be a specific process. It's not going to be immediate. It's not going to be something where there's no checks on it whatsoever.
Who is Lewis talking to? This is Computer Jesus. Okay. He gives us all the down low on when companies are fucking around.
Yeah, I want safety and security. That's what I want.
Right.
Checks and balances.
Are people going to look at this and think, oh, it's just a bunch of companies complaining about they're not making as much money as they were. Woe is me, you know, like boo-hoo, take it out of your margin. And I haven't really figured out how to try and address that yet, because if you see a bunch of executives or business owners or whatever product managers complaining about they're making less money than they used to, as a consumer, I mean, does it come across as like pity-seeking? You know, like I'm trying to figure out how to reconcile for people who don't have the perspective that you would have, or Corsair or whatever would have, to see that the impact
billionaires.
has a wider reach.
It's all the billionaires.
Business owner makes less money.
Well, I think that it's an important perspective, because especially when you see these people that run these meatpacking companies or anything else, where the CEO is making $2 to $10 million a year, and he's got a bunch of people that barely make $7 an hour, if even, that are doing the work. It's like, poor you. You have to pay somebody a real wage. You know, like cry me a fucking river. Right. I completely understand that perspective. Here, I mean, the lowest paid technician that works here is getting over $30 an hour, and the people that are not at the absolute bottom level are making considerably more than that. And the bonuses that I pay people do come out of stuff like this. You know, I make less money at my own company than my best paid employee. I don't expect people I don't expect people to believe any of this shit. If I'm going to be able to pay people bonuses or anything else, it's coming out of the profit that I make from selling items like this. So yeah, you could say, you know, I'm complaining because I'm not making money, but for me, it's not. Personally, it's not about whether or not I lose out on money. I don't make money. It's about fear of loss. Like, that's what gets me more. It's not like I've made a living for myself before I ever sold a hot air station. The Rossman Repair Group existed, had over 8 employees before I sold a Quick or an Atten or anything else. I'll still be here. It's just where I won't be here is if I make a decision to wire like 5 or 6 figures to somebody else, and then I realize, oh, that's double later. It's really the fear of loss that gets me more than the other. And I mean, if you're talking about a lot of these PC manufacturers, I get it. What does the CEO of Corsair make? I mean, like, what is it? They're publicly traded.
They're publicly traded.
Enough that they could give me a case with a working fucking SATA cable. But the point, like, yeah, like, if it's like the end, you know, the CEO of NVIDIA, like, cry me a fucking river. I completely understand that. But I guess it depends on at what point do you identify with the person who is having an issue? Like Walmart having an issue, nobody gives a fuck. Amazon having an issue, nobody gives a fuck. Right. Corsair, anybody, half of the PC manufacturers, frankly, do people really care about if something happens to Asus or Gigabyte? No, they don't. Especially if they watch your channel. I get it. Is it when it affects a small company that's 100 people? Is it when it affects the corner shop that has 5 people? Like, at what point is it something where, like, if somebody has 5 employees, who is your neighbor, who you've been going to for 10 or 20 years, for whatever you get, raises their prices and says, you know, it's harder for us to feed our family and pay our employees? Like, at what point would it be something where you would say, yeah, okay, maybe you got a point?
Right.
Because, yeah, if you're talking to Corsair or Asus, like, yeah, fuck them. I mean, I don't have sympathy for them either. I definitely don't have sympathy for Walmart. Or when you see, a lot of the problem is when you see these economists go on the news talking about this, or they're people that are usually several zeros higher in the net worth than most of your viewers. So I would suggest that talk to people that are being affected, that are in the zeros range of the net worth of the people that are watching your channel.
What type of business do you think is the most affected, or business owner, by the tariffs and the rollout?
In the beginning, is going to be anybody who is directly receiving something. And after a time, it's going to be whoever's receiving the items downstream. So, for instance, I don't know, let's say that there is a school who says that we want to buy 40 of these. Right. You know, you're not affected immediately, but when you decide, we're building this new makerspace over here and we like to buy 40, and I say, hey, remember I used to buy for 2? Yeah, you could pay 4. Right. They're affected later. So small businesses are going to be affected by it, but it's that time that it takes. Because even I am not affected just yet, because these arrived, and this was already on the boat and everything prior.
There's a latency.
Yeah, there's a latency. So now, if I were stupid enough to order these again, which I'm not for a while, if I was stupid enough to do that next order, it takes 2 months for that boat to get here. So first I have to manufacture it, which is a few weeks, and then 2 months for it. So that would be, I should be able to do math better than this.
Something like 8 weeks or so.
It'll be the end of July after manufacturing is done for me to get it. And you would see it in July. So that you're not really feeling the policy right now. Same thing with COVID. You don't feel it until everybody starts going outside again. And then when people are going out and doing things again, and then you see like inflation going nuts. But in the first 1 or 2 months, it's not like everything went up like crazy. I think it hurts everybody, really. Because let's say, like, fuck all of this. Let's say I'm not selling any of this. Let's say I don't do any of this. What about the things that I buy for people? Like, if I have to buy all the different tools that I buy for the people over here, or the parts that I get for people that are here. Now, there are certain elements of my business that are not going to be affected. For data recovery, if I already have all my tools, and I am buying donor drives off of eBay that were, you know, in somebody's garage somewhere, or out of broken machines, that's not going to be affected. But all the other things are. The parts that I have to buy. When people say, you know, you're using cheap Chinese shit, and that's why. Okay, what are you watching this video on? Are you like, really? I mean,
True.
When I'm buying a part from China to fix somebody's device, it is because that device was made there. Right. When I'm buying a keyboard.
Do you think people get convinced by this? Unironically, yes. based on, I only watched an hour and 46 minutes of this. As strange as it is, this might be like the best video that I think I've ever seen on tariffs, because it's not just like a dry econ perspective. It's not just like a, well, here's how it affects all the other people perspective. This is industry specific. So if you're into computers or software, okay, you're watching this. It's industry specific. It features like known community figures, right? Everybody knows Louis Rossmann. Everybody knows the GamersNexus guy. I don't know what his name is. Some of the other CEO type people, or some of the other people that you talk to, I think, are also known in here. He actually, in this video, he brings together some companies that like have been viciously fighting with each other, and then like reveal very industry sensitive information about pricing sheets and how much they actually pay and what the actual margins are on every part. And you go through like all of the different stages of how does a tariff affect you, from where, you know, importing this from overseas, this is the cost that it is to tool a factory, this is how much retail charges, this is, you know, what margins are affected by what. I think this is actually probably one of the best videos I've seen done on something like this in terms of making it palpable to just an ordinary person. Probably the best one I've seen on this, I think, yeah. GamersNexus' name is Stephen Burke.
For this particular type of laptop, or I'm buying this particular chip that's coming from there. It's not like I'm buying this to fix my own shit. I'm buying this to fix what you have brought me. Mm-hmm. So when somebody says you're you're complaining about tariffs because you're buying all this cheap Chinese crap.
And it's the funny thing too is this is like, I don't want to say it's conservative coded, because I won't ever give conservatives credit for literally anything ever again, because they don't deserve any of it. But you know how conservatives always talk about like, well, when you run a business, and then every time a conservative says as a businessman or when you run a business, they always say the least business savvy shit in the fucking world. They always say shit that if you run a business, you know this is fucking retarded. These are people that actually run businesses, and you can actually see how the process works from start to finish. And yeah, it's super informative. And it's like, in a way, it's entertaining. I don't want to say it's dry, because it's not dry. These guys are entertaining. It's very blunt, and it's very like not editorialized that much. Like it's just like here's the reality, bro. Like this shit's gonna be hella fucking expensive. I've ordered some of this shit. I can't order any more. Shit's gonna cost more for you. You don't want to pay more for shit. I know you don't, and that's it. And yeah.
Where the fuck do you think it's going into? These parts are going into your devices that you chose to buy.
Do you have any major misconceptions you've seen you want to address?
I think the main thing is when people say that it's about the money. Mm-hmm. And like the same thing with when I moved from New York to here. I make less money here than I did when I lived in New York City. But I came here because at least if I know what the regulatory and the tax framework is, I can stop losing my hair. With this, it's not even about the money. Because if they said there's a flat 50% tariff and that's what it's going to be, and Congress approved it, and I know that if they wanted to change it, Congress got to change it, you got to get all these people to agree and not one person, then I'd live with it. I would buy another set of these. I would raise the price, I'd see if people still buy, and then I would adjust my order accordingly. It's the lack of knowing what's going on. It's not a tariff. You can live with high taxation, you can live with high tariffs. All these things can be worked out, even if it goes against my personal economics. I'm more the Thomas Sowell's basic economics thing. Sure. I would subscribe to that more than this. But even if I disagree with what you're doing, as a business owner, I could accept it and work within it if there was a framework of rules that I knew. It's not about the fact that I'm losing money. It's about the fact that I cannot do business in this environment, because I would lose infinitely more here doing this than I was even dealing with New York.
Right.
So have Congress create tariffs. You can't create an emergency that doesn't exist, or a war, any of this type of stuff, and then use that as a false pretense to be able to write tariffs. Like, follow the Constitution, follow the law.
Fair enough.
I mean, honestly,
Hot take.
If it's New York City that is fucking me over, I don't care if it is a Republican-led presidency or a Democrat. If you are applying laws inconsistently and you're not allowing me to feel secure in how I do business, I will call it. I don't care.
Right.
It's like I'm not going to defend one team for it.
Following our meetings in Southern California earlier in the trip, before we met with Louis, we had driven north from LA to San Francisco, and then hopped over to Fremont on our big road trip to meet with Corsair Components founder and CEO Andy Paul. Getting to the tariff stuff with that background, so in the 30 or so years you've been doing this, taxes and tariffs, I'm sure, have gone up and down and have been a topic. Is this situation unique?
Quick warning, this guy, when he speaks, he is very plainly British, so.
Last couple of weeks?
Yeah, so unique for many reasons, I'd say. There's been small tariffs over the years put on certain things when, the government decides it's sort of a strategic move over some long period of time to try and protect an industry. But yeah, this is very different, and I think the uncertainty of what's going to happen next week is what's causing all the markets to be very jittery. Yeah. In terms of the bigger picture of where to put manufacturing, I mean, that's a multi-year issue. And so, that's very difficult to plan, whether you should try and make products in China or Vietnam or Thailand or Mexico. how would you know what to do? So, and once you know, and there's some certainty that might roll out for a couple of years, then you can start making plans. Tariffs are import taxes, and that means that when you import products from wherever you're buying them, then you pay tariffs at the border. And so, a 5% tariff, a company might choose to absorb that. But if you look at the whole chain of making something like a power supply from the start to the finish when it gets into consumers' hands, there's pretty thin margins all the way along. So any tariff that starts to get more than 10 or 15% has to go into consumer price increases. So I think what everyone's starting to realize is that tariffs are essentially a federal sales tax. So if you think about, most of the world has VAT, which consumers pay when they buy stuff, and one country, the United States, with all these states, sales tax is typically going into the states. The federal government doesn't get any of it. Tariffs are essentially the federal government collecting sales tax. That's the way it actually ends up working.
Do you know, this is maybe my hardest question, do you know right now at, that's in Eastern time, 9 a.m. on April 14th, do you know what the tariffs are right now in terms of there's multiple categories, of course, but if we start with the sort of the big number, the general tariff on China?
So as we have, we don't make a lot of stuff in China, we should say. I mean, we've got a big factory in Taiwan that mostly makes, it was designed to make memory modules, so most of our memory comes from there. That's currently not tariffed, that's been exempted as part of the Friday's announcement. So most of those products now coming out of China, everybody has to pay the 20%, which I think is called the fentanyl tariff, as far as I understand. Vietnam, Thailand, 10%. That doesn't go away unless it's one of the exemption products. So, for example, for us power supplies, which we mostly make in Vietnam for the US, those do not come into one of the exemption, so those will be 10% this week.
Yeah, so that's what I heard was the headlines that went out. So I got a bunch of emails this weekend from viewers who were thrilled because all computer hardware components are now exempt. My understanding is that is not the case.
That's right.
So do you happen to know sort of which categories are and aren't for
for example, if you made cases in China, today you pay 20%. And we make cases in Taiwan, so that falls into the exemption, which means that will be zero today. So it just depends on where you're making them. I think gaming components are exempt, but quite honestly, our whole logistics guys are going through every single day, going through all the tables, trying to figure out, firstly, have they been coded correctly? Because when tariffs are zero, it doesn't really matter what code you bring them in. There's often times where a product could have one or two codes, depending if it's a peripheral or is a gaming product. So all those are being re-looked at. But yeah, typically, if something is a PC peripheral or a gaming component, then it should be, and it's from China, it should be 20% as of today.
Right.
And if it's outside China, then it would, if it's exempt, it's zero. If it's not exempt, it'll be 10%. That's how it works.
Okay. Let's see. How about the real-world impact? So just generally speaking, what is sort of the real-world impact of not just tariffs broadly as a thing, but tariffs the way they're being implemented the last several months?
Yeah. Well, I've been thinking about that quite a bit. So I think for the industry that we're in, right, DIY, people building their own computers, it really is going to come down to what happens to graphics cards and then CPUs, because that's at least half, if not 3/4 of the cost. So if Jensen over NVIDIA manages to cut a deal with John Padman and TSMC can do the same, so the graphics cards don't go up, then that'll be very helpful. Because if you think about it, if you're going to build a PC and the power supply is an extra $10, memory modules extra $10, not making a difference. If everything goes up by 50%, then you may choose either not to do that till next year, or sometime future, or you might just go and buy an Alienware PC.
Right. And if we look historically, what do you think high tariffs cause?
Well, if you have, if you're a country where you're trying to protect an industry that you have, let's say it was really important to have a car industry, and you saw a foreign company dumping cars, like selling cars cheaper in your country than they were in their own, then you would step in to stop that. So we can't have somebody temporarily destroying our industry when the factories are empty. Then what do we do? So there's a lot of reasons that tariffs exist and are good, and I've often thought here that things like solar is an industry that would be good to see in the US. It doesn't take advanced fabs or anything. It's very easy for us to have control of solar. So I think that's something that can make sense.
Local
but
PC
in general,
building factory.
There's no question that
advantage.
One of the earlier parts of our journey involved checking in with CyberPower PC. CyberPower will be represented by Nam Huang, brand director, and Eddie Vaughn, director of R&D and product. Rob Teller from Height, which is part of competitor iBuyPower, joined us as the two competing companies talked about the tariffs. And again, despite both having power in the name, these companies are not related. You got a shotgun mic on? All right, so we're going over to CyberPower. CyberPower and iBuyPower, they both have the same last name.
The Powers.
Yeah, the Powers. Is there any relation whatsoever?
No.
Okay. Has there ever been one?
No. iBuyPower came first, and then they started up CyberPower a couple years after.
He was like, now your competitors that end up roughly on the same street.
Yeah. I mean, this area, there's a lot of PC components in this area because we're not far from Newegg headquarters.
Between these two companies, they represent around 1 million pre-built shipments per year in the U.S. I've also known each of these people in this section since about 2012, so we have a long history. What do you think the biggest misunderstanding is or misconception is in the public right now?
I think the biggest misconception has to do with where the money is going and who's getting it, right?
Okay.
Right. People need to understand that tariff and tax is synonymous, right? As soon as a product comes in, we are paying it. And I always give this analogy, which is like, if there's a 10% tariff on something else, $100, by the time it gets here, we have to pay $110.
Right.
But if that tax was 100%, it's going to be $200.
Right.
So there's no way that we can charge less than $200. That's the minimum, and that's the key, is that. But they're always wondering, okay, well, jump from 100 to 200, where's that money going? Well, that money is a tax. It's going to go to the government. That's just how it works.
So usually we do, at this time of the season, we're supposed to do all the refresh for spring. We do have a lot of OT because of that whole tariff going on, kind of disrupting our, product coming in. So we're not doing OT for the last few weeks.
How many employees do you guys have?
Here, around 200.
Wow, 200 employees. Is all your assembly in this building, or you have?
No, we have multiple buildings.
Okay.
In the United States?
Yes.
All in the
In the
U.S.
United States.
Different. We have 4 different factory sites for building.
Yeah.
But this is where we build all the custom builds.
So where are they spread out? So you've got, this is the city
They're
of
spread out
industry.
throughout the industry in Ontario and other places, but they're basically focused on different products and vendors. Yes.
Okay.
Wow. But this is where we spend more time on with all the custom build. So require a little more work.
Roughly how many systems do you build a year?
A year? Right now it's getting very close to around 450,000 almost. I don't know. Yeah, about that much, almost 500,000.
Yeah. What about you?
Was that revenue or systems? Wait. There's no way I heard that correctly.
Wow. But this is where we spend more time on with all the custom build.
450,000 systems a year? Holy shit, that's way. I would have guessed that number to be like 10 to 30,000. Damn.
Require a little more work.
Roughly how many systems do you build a year?
A year? Right now it's getting very close to around 450,000 almost. I don't know. Yeah.
I wonder if like there's a lot of corporate customers or something where like an enterprise or a corporation comes in and they buy like 2,000 PCs or something. Maybe I have no idea.
Much, almost 500,000.
Yeah. What about you guys?
We're about the same.
Okay.
Coming in and
so between
corporate probably buys like Dell. Do they still make Dells? I have no idea.
2 companies here
pushing
down the street.
system, yeah,
1 million systems a year.
1 million American-made computers per year.
But then, other than stuff like cases that you guys make, and I know you guys have done some stuff too, but other than those items, everything you're putting in the systems is coming from suppliers.
Yes.
So,
I mean, most customers, they wouldn't want us to manufacture our own products. Like, there are certain products that, like, say cases, right, where the case is kind of a commodity product, and if someone just wants a computer, they want a specific CPU, they want a specific GPU, they want a specific amount of, and so making those products may be okay, but customers certainly wouldn't want us making custom motherboards or custom GPUs.
It comes down to the elasticity of expertise, like how far can we stretch our expertise?
I mean, and that's the interesting thing right now is the people who have the most expertise are the people who currently manufacture those products. And now there's this artificial swarm saying that they have to be made here. That doesn't consider like who makes it best or who has figured this out the best. Are there any products that you guys, any components that don't come from China that you specifically know about today?
Shipping label.
Jesus.
Well,
and some packaging.
Is that Uline, I guess, or something like that's?
Well, I mean, no. I mean the label. When you bought the label,
stuff that we print is from local sources. Of course, some of the packaging, because we have to rebox sometimes damaged boxes, we also print those here.
To try and address the common, top comment of like, screw you, you should make it in the U.S., right? One thing I haven't asked is the other side of that, which is so for system assemblers like Cyber and iBuyPower, why make it in the U.S.? Why assemble it in the U.S.?
I mean, we've always kind of, the core to us, our business was always the customization. And that is really the key, is that we wanted to give them the ultimate flexibility, not have proprietary parts, allow them to be able to swap things that, or have it future-proof with things that are standardized.
They may not be great components for a very long time. Look at how Intel's GPU strategy has been going for them, where it's like they know they need to start. They're starting now, it's already 10 years too late, but they need to start simple with low-end hardware that doesn't actually perform very well for a while. That's impossible to avoid when moving these types of products internationally. Do you think end users are going to want to buy a CyberPower system that might be full of made in America components that somehow perform significantly worse than their Chinese counterparts?
And are more expensive.
That are more expensive. And that's bypassing the whole concept of feasibility of sourcing and time to market and all that sort of stuff. I mean, these products are made in America because end users are very specific about the components that they want. I mean, we're basically the brokers of components that people already know they want.
Yeah.
They just happen to we put them.
Can you imagine you're going to like buy like, oh God, you buy like a new pre-built and you get like a sick fucking everything, but now it's like made in America and you're like, okay, I gotta get my power supply. And it's like, do you have a Seasonic or a Corsair? Sorry, no. But we do have, we've got Ryan's bulging block of power. We've got PSU made by Thompson's Terraformers, and then we've got Paul's Power Blocks. Which PSU manufacturer do you want to hear? Whew. I need a manufacturer whose name sounds like they came from an anime. I don't know if I trust any of this shit. Damn, am I putting Paulson's Power Blocks in my $2,000? Whew. Do I want the Ford power supply or do I want the Chrysler power supply? Damn.
Them into final systems.
We have to think about the whole supply chain, who's affecting them. Vendors we work with, manufacturers, we have to talk to retailers, then we have to negotiate pricing because the retailers want a price, manufacturers want to sell us a price, and we kind of become mediators working it out to say, okay, well, what can we do to make this affordable for Americans, And then we usually work this out and we move on. But this time, the problem is, with it changing constantly, everybody's wondering, like, well, what's going to happen tomorrow? What's going to happen next week? Should I invest now? Too much? Too little? Am I going to be in a hole later because of regret this? Eddie brought up a good point. He said, the truth is today there are orders that are sitting in our system right now that people have paid for. But tomorrow, when we get the parts, we will maybe be paying more. We're going to be shipping it regardless at a loss. Yes. So how do we make up for that? Well, our cost average has to go up, then we adjust and we hope that things balance out. In a normal cycle, this could be resolved in a month. But if it keeps changing, then we have no idea when this will resolve itself or normalize.
How good is your understanding of your own inventory in terms of I'm making money, I'm losing money on these sales?
Yeah.
Are you able to?
Right
it
now,
seems impossible.
Right now, to be honest, we can't. All we can do is just go day to day. As the price comes in, our cost average goes up, and we need to adjust. It's going to reflect in the customers. They're going to be very much at a loss. Why is the price fluctuating so much? And that's because it's happening in real time. Yeah. Every time that a price goes up, we have to adjust the quantities because we might not have the funds for it or whatever. I think a lot of customers don't understand that sometimes we buy things at a higher price because we're amortizing over time. That the manufacturer is going to improve their production, which then lowers the cost. Okay. We may be paying this today, and as this stabilizes over time, our cost goes down.
Nam, if you guys reduce your
Now we just need, listen, this would be the most unpopular video series ever, but all of these principles that they're explaining for pricing works in everything that has a long supply chain. It would be so interesting to see the reception if somebody was talking about insulin. So, why do you charge so much for this drug? Like, why do you charge lower or higher now? Well, we plan on over time recouping the cost of all the R&D here, like the tooling for the factories and the non-refundable R&D and all the so this is why we charge this much. We hope to make it back in the future. And ooh, that would be a
order volume of motherboards or video cards or whatever cases. What happens when you reduce order volume? If you reduce your order volume by 30%, right? What is the ripple effect of that?
Well, of course, we reduce the basics of economics here is that if we reduce our volume, the price is going to go up. But there's a lot more behind the scenes too, because these numbers that we have thought about didn't happen like overnight. We had planned them for 6 months ahead of time. This is the volume we see happening. This is the trend. This is the price we think it should be. And when this changes immediately, it's not just us that we can't just say, oh, okay, we're going to cut our order in half. Those companies that we rely on also have their projections that they have to deal with, employees. It could be a huge
snowball
effect.
And then on top of that, you have big seasonality. So if certain parts of the year, let's say that they're expecting for their spring refresh, there's a certain amount.
This is a thing that people never talk about as well, because different things, depending on the season, will grow in different parts of the world. Like in Japan, you can't get like capacitors growing from trees in like the fucking winter time. You got to wait until it's like super moist. They like the humidity outside. You want those capacitors to be right in the sweet spot.
On a people they employ, and they need to be able to figure out how to keep those people building things and working and helping to generate profit.
I guess you probably, like a lot of industries, have seasonal hires or something.
Yeah.
And we have to think about technological obsolescence, which is something that affects us more than most industries.
Yeah, the inventory goes bad very quickly in this industry.
What is it about the execution that you think is most troubling for the past, say, several months that you've been dealing with this?
I would say the most is the inconsistency. If there was a plan where where certain objectives were met to reduce this tariff, or even that it was escalated for certain reasons that made sense, then we can plan and predict for it. We could see how things are trending and kind of predict that. But at this point, it's not. We can't predict anything, and our business relies on consistency and predictability.
Because there's no clear pathway to actually make.
Remember, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. one of the things about rulemaking in the federal, well, when you pass a law in Congress, there's a lot of debate on laws. People see it for a long period of time. Businesses can generally plan for it because they see how the debate is going and they plan accordingly. Once a law is passed and then rules are crafted by the federal government, there's like a 90-day challenge period for challenging rules. People see it. It gives businesses a heads up and allows them to plan ahead of time so that when a law is passed or when a rule goes into effect with the federal government, there's not this huge shock in price. For executive orders, for kings, for dictators, it's so crazy because in real time, it's so, in a super ironic way, you can actually see the difference between a command economy, like a socialist economy, versus a free market economy play out in real time, right? Free markets, capitalist economies don't generally have famines, as much as that triggers people to say it. What actually happens is command economies that try to allocate resources irresponsive or irrespective of market forces or with central governments or bodies, like it's fucked. It's very difficult for people to adjust ahead of time. There's so much, like all of this confusion and craziness, all of this is inherent to any like command style economy. But for free market, people can determine like where does the capital go? You know, who do I supply from instead? How can I change my pricings to customers? How can I change which parts I'm using? Like you have more time to adapt, and everybody's like making these decisions organically in the economy, all these moving parts at different points in time. You know,
these products in America, right? Like if the widgets we made were, let's say, nails, and we were a nail company and we made our nails in China, I feel confident we would be able to move our production to America and get that handled. But because it's actually not within our capability to move the production to America, or even our immediate suppliers to move their production, or their suppliers to move their production, it almost feels like a bad faith argument because the solution can't be to move it to America, because that's not possible right now. While the tariffs seem to be more of a negotiation tactic for a rival nation. So we're stuck in the crosshairs with the rhetoric of, well, just move it and you won't suffer the pain anymore. But that's literally not an option.
Yeah, if he said like that, they said that it's going to be 100% and this is it for the next 10 years, we can work around that. We will figure out a way.
That's a good faith negotiation.
Yeah, but the fact that you're saying, you're asking manufacturers to bring it to America, but they have to consider the cost. They're going to have to invest in it, and they don't want to invest if something's going to change.
And the reality is, if we continue to import and sell products at the rate that we would, we will have run out of money within 2 weeks. So forget the like, let's pull ourselves up by the bootstraps and invest here locally. No, there's no money to do that.
Right.
Yeah, the ripple effects are
part of that, I guess, comes from what you're saying, which is the surprise nature of the changes. The question is, what do you do, right? Like in this current situation right now, I'm sure you guys are having these conversations probably literally daily. So, I mean, how do you deal with it?
So right now, I mean, if we have commitments with vendors, we just fulfill them. We have to accept them. We try to work as much as we can to remove the burden from the consumer. We work with the manufacturers, we work with the retailers. We're asking everybody to put in their part. What can you take out? What can you take out? How can we bring this down as much as possible? That's what we've been doing. But at the end of the day, there will be a point where we'll be like, this is the most we could take out. And this is the price it's going to be now. And then we have to wait and see, will the market bear this price? The biggest worry that we have is not to be like, apocalyptic, but there is this potential of a collapse. Like what if everybody decides this is priced too high? Nobody wants to buy it. Everybody decides we're going to wait. How long are they going to wait? How long do the manufacturers have to wait? Everything starts to halt.
And I want to point out some irony here. We shared with you our costs and the tariff fees. And right now our solution is we're not shipping into the United States, and we're depending on other regions to be able to move forward. CyberPower manufactures their products here in America. Yeah. They don't have other regions to do that.
I see where the irony is going.
So at a certain point, we may not collapse because we're able to sell internationally, but CyberPower is effectively an American-based company.
Primarily in the U.S., I guess.
Yes.
And what percent of your business is in the U.S. in terms of purchases, I guess, or orders, whatever?
About like 80%.
Wow. Okay.
Wow. Or more.
All right. Yeah.
That's possibly more. It would be close to 80 to 90%.
Do you think this kills some American companies? Not necessarily anyone's here at this table, but
this is like a high-stress event. This will kill some people.
But picking up the novel, The Jungle, that kind of like worry where like, is money going to be here tomorrow? I need to start saving. And if they start saving, they're not spending this. We are right on the. Everybody's arguing, is it inflation, is it recession? Or is stagflation, which may be even worse, somewhere in between, right?
Next, we'll check in with Darren Su, who began his business in 1997 and formally co-founded iBuyPower in California around 1999. It also owns Height, which is a separate entity run largely by Jeff and Rob from earlier. Darren will be joined by Kevin Xiang, who manages purchasing. Yeah, starting in the 90s, in all those years, can you remember any situation like this?
No, nothing like this, never. We've been through Y2K, financial crisis, Bitcoin crisis, COVID, now this tariff. It's unprecedented, daily changes, right? It's definitely different. Now it's almost on not even daily basis, on hourly basis. What is latest, right? Because we have so many containers on the way here. How would we combat? How do we stop ordering, continue ordering? What countries coming out, which we never encountered before? Never. And we, just from iBuyPower side, we were dealing with multiple suppliers from various countries. From just on top of my head, we have suppliers coming from China, Taiwan, local, Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, maybe them, Hong Kong, Vietnam, definitely. Yeah.
Right. What about on the purchasing side?
Yeah, just to add to what Darren was saying, right? Like, I think in total, I did a quick count. We have like over 60 vendors that we work with. Just because if we were to put a computer together, it's a total of like 10 components, a combination of 10 components, right? So to our understanding, each category is also different on how tariff is being handled. Yeah.
So that's the hardest question I have today is
let's do it.
Do you know off the top of your head? Do you know what the current rate is or the tariff is for the blanket China tariff, like right now? Do you guys know what it's at? Because I've heard like 65, 104, 125. You know.
To our understanding, it's 145%.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
general.
Yeah, general.
Right. And could be more. If your components including metal, steels, aluminum, you could add another top on top of 25 or 20%.
Right. Where, Darren, where do you guys assemble your computers?
So that's a good thing. Unlike many other companies that build simply for overseas, so we import majority of components from overseas, but 100% assembly, test, pack, support right here, local Los Angeles.
Wow.
San Gabriel area, this area.
Yeah, I've been in the part of the warehouse next
Correct.
door. Yeah.
Yep.
So if they're assembled basically on the other side of these walls in California, how do the tariffs end up affecting you?
That should be good for you then, right?
Because it's you're the customer of all these other companies, right? So you guys are in kind of a unique position because some of the other companies we're talking to for this piece, they're the ones who sell you stuff, right?
Yep.
So since you assemble in the U.S., I think this is something people might be confused about, where it's like, well, it's the whole manufacturing in the USA thing, right? It's assembled here, but the tariffs still affect you. So can you walk me through sort of the steps when you buy stuff?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I love you guys. I don't know if I'll stream tomorrow or if I'll fly to Detroit a day early because fuck, just in case. We'll see. I love you. Be careful. Representative cappuccino, 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 cappuccino. Wait.